the original gun barrel sequence done with a stuntman who has no idea how to make it look cool. Points off for this movie for that. For the first 2 or 3 movies where it's not actually Connery and it's just a stuntman, it just looks bad.
Did I ever tell you that my dad had a birthday card that was signed by Roger Moore?
I think you did.
Yeah, it's disappeared. Nobody knows where it is. But my aunt, she was working for UNICEF back in the day, and Roger Moore, they'd hired Roger Moore to do some kind of talk or whatever. And
Sure.
she said, "Oh, my brother's like the biggest fan of you and James Bond and stuff. And can you please sign a birthday card for him? It's his birthday." And he's like, "Oh, absolutely." Yeah, I don't know what's happened to it, but if I find it, I'll let you know. It'd be awesome.
It's one of those self-destructing birthday cards, like something Q would have designed.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I was thinking about this because James Bond has been not English before. Obviously, he's not English here. He's Sean Connery, the quintessential Scotsman.
Yeah.
But you've also had a non-British James Bond, obviously, with Lazenby, who's Australian.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, why is that okay? Or why do we do that? But, like, why not a Canadian James Bond? And it's like, I'm thinking about this because I don't want an American James Bond. I want, at the very least, I want Commonwealth. But
Yeah,
Canada is Commonwealth, so it's like, okay, maybe I could, I don't know, but I think you just need an accent, though.
Exactly.
And Australia has an
Lazenby
accent.
Put on an accent, though. Lazenby put
We
on
could get a
an
Kiwi
English
James
accent.
Bond, perhaps? A James Bond
Yeah,
from
sure.
South Africa, right? South Africa's still Commonwealth, I think.
Yeah. I mean, you can't get a Barbadian James Bond anymore. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. That's they missed out on our Rihanna James Bond film.
But yeah, Sean Connery hated James Bond by the end of his tenure. But
Yeah.
I think he famously said in an interview that...
I don't think James Bond liked him that much either, if you watch Diamonds Are Forever.
No, exactly. He famously said that it's because of James Bond that he could afford a house in the... I think it's the Caribbean somewhere that he was living, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's where he died, somewhere in the Caribbean. Also, I
Yeah.
mean, James Bond was everything to him. Without James Bond, you know, he doesn't get to beat women without consequences. That Sean Connery. So
That is one of the best interviews I've ever seen in my life with him and Barbara Walters. Was that it? Yeah, I don't think there will ever be another actor known so well for playing a specific role, but then also went on to do other amazing things.
yeah,
that
he's
everybody
not
remembers him for.
one note, but he is James Bond.
You're right. Like, he's not one note, but he has the exact same accent in every movie.
Yeah, oh yeah, he in that. I mean, even in the Untouchables when he plays an Irish cop, which he won an Academy Award for, he's really good in that movie. But you'll still see Sean Connery's performance appear on like lists of like worst accents in movies because he's just doing a Scottish accent. He's just Sean Connery.
Yeah.
And even though I like him in that movie, it's like that's definitely true. Yeah, it's amazing how far the James Bond films have come. I mean, this is a series that has been around for
60 years.
60 years. Like, they've done pretty much everything.
Well, and actually... going
They
back
have
to-
not had a legitimate hip-hop James Bond theme, though. I wonder if they'll ever do that. Because you can go British. There's some British rappers out there who are worth listening to. J1 is great. Stormzy, even better.
This kind of ties into what I was saying
21
earlier.
Savage is technically British. He was like in trouble recently because he like grew up in Atlanta, but then like Britain, I think it was like Britain demanded income taxes from him or something, and that's how everyone came to learn that 21 Savage was actually born in London because no one knew that.
But now it just seems like they're kind of grasping at straws. They're clutching at nothing. They're just making these kind of crappy love stories that are action spy movies. I don't...
Okay, I'm going to defend the James Bond series because I think Spectre's okay. I liked No Time to Die a lot. I understand the thing, but at this point in time, James Bond is not the most prominent film franchise out there.
Mm-hmm.
So they're trying to kind of take things from like, I mean, Marvel is obviously the gold standard in terms of just big franchises that will never ever end. Star Wars is up there too. It's kind of those two. So the James Bond series is kind of taking loose inspiration from them, and I don't like, they're not as bad with the, because there's talk of the way people talk about these movies, like in the future, like, oh, they're going to have Jane Bond, they're going to have a black James Bond, and it's like, that to me is like very Marvel, like, let's just keep this going no matter what.
Yeah.
I think I would be, that having been said, I think I'd be okay with a black James Bond, but, you know, it's not Idris Elba. Everyone has been talking about that for years. Idris Elba's like in his 50s. You're not getting him for multiple movies.
Yeah, exactly.
It's done. Retire that idea. And I actually have money on a younger black actor to be the next James Bond. I'm going to win a couple £1,000 if that happens. I'm not going to share who that is because I don't want to influence the betting market. Okay. But I do have Ladbrokes Casino. I've got money on that. Don't let me down, actor who I'm not going to name right now, or rather studios.